Hello, sir. How you doing?
Yeah. Good, man. Good. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. So, welcome back, everybody. You perhaps caught the last interview with Eon Farmakides about basically his history. If you've not looked at that, then this video should be attached to a playlist, so you'll see it either below or on the right hand side, or otherwise just YouTube Eon's name and copy paste it, and you'll find the part one of this video again. So, Eon, I wanted to pick up where we left off, and to also just really talk about in more depth some of your experiences of the events-based business, and talking about what it's like to work, the difference between kind of a cold calling versus an inbound calling environment, and how you feel that's been useful for your career, and kind of how those two experiences have been different and what they taught you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Look, I think that the main difference is, of course, that most people you call who aren't expecting a call are bound to be on the back foot, and depending on how high up you go within like an organization, they're bound to be gatekeepers who are essentially being paid to avoid, or rather to stop people like you, me, whoever, to get through to the decision maker. Um, and it's on the one hand it's very challenging. On the other hand, it's one of the more immediate, I feel at least, forms of sales and of communicating a message. It doesn't. I think cold calling gets a really bad rap, but it's mostly because most people who do it are annoying. That's just bottom line.
Yeah, yeah,
When you get somebody who calls you who you weren't expecting, you don't want to pick up the phone, and it's just exactly that. And then the flip side is occasionally you get somebody who calls you, and then you say, "This guy or this girl is awesome. I
yeah.
love this call." And I think it's a huge school. I mean, I practically learned everything sales wise from speaking to people who had so much experience in whatever it is they were doing.
Yeah.
And I think the the main value drawn from that experience is you get on the phone with somebody who does not want to speak to you, and then it's not more often than not, don't get me wrong, it's the minority of cases, but you get off of some phone calls, and that person not only wants to work with you,
Mm.
but appreciates what you achieved. So
Yeah.
let's say if you're like a 27-year-old guy, kid, whatever, and you call a 52-year-old CEO of a large enterprise who does not have any time for you. And then by the end of the call, he's agreed to give you, 40, 50, 100,000 euros based on that conversation and based on what you achieved in that really narrow window. It's not just a big achievement. It means that the guy then, and
That's
it's not
it.
to say that I did it so well, but
It's
it just
incredible, though,
happens.
isn't it? Yeah, and they must respect you
Turns
so
around and
much
says,
for it.
and then what happens? And I still have some really good friendships from that job, because there are people who see, and then you meet them in person at an event, and they see, you know what, you don't necessarily hit it off with everybody, but so that's a huge thing. And you're creating the demand, you're creating the value,
Yeah,
which ultimately is all already there. You're not going to trick anybody to buy something.
yeah,
People aren't stupid. You're not going to call somebody and say, "I've got this magic, event you should come to." But there, even though there may be a need,
hmm,
there's usually, at least, there isn't a want. Whereas for us, when somebody comes to us looking for lead generation, looking for SEO, looking for PR, outreach, whatever the case may be, there's usually a greater want than when somebody receives a call.
yeah,
Realistically speaking,
yeah,
otherwise it's such a numbers game. We shouldn't even consider it as a possibility. So when somebody says, you know what, I need to outrank my competition, or I'm launching this new product. I need leads, sure, but they also want it. It's not just the fact that everybody needs leads.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody needs to outrank the competition. But for somebody to Google, a potential, a vendor, a provider, or a company like us, there's also that sense of, I want this to a degree.
yeah,
It's not just the fact that my company needs it. It takes them. So it's a huge advantage, and the fact that, I mean, I have yet to have. I mean, there've been some conversations which have gone nowhere. But even when we don't work with somebody, it's still a great conversation to have.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we're not annoying anybody.
Yeah.
People come to us because they say, "I need this. I want this." Whether I work with you or not, I feel that it's relevant based on your profile to have this conversation with you. So that's just a huge asset.
Do you think that someone could, if they're looking to get into sales, skip the kind of event, kind of outbound type experience? And because you meet, like in the journey of kind of, for example, bringing you into the organization, I of course spoke to a lot of different guys, and there's, my experience has been there's been a bit of a distinction between people that have just done inbound versus people that have done inbound and outbound, and the ability for someone like yourself who's done both to close. Have you worked with people that have just worked, because we met through, for example, Commission Crowd? Have you met other people who've just done inbound, and are there differences, or do you think that someone in sales could just move straight to inbound and be like, well, dude, I don't want to do outbound cold calling?
I mean, look, I think like with anything, the more experience you have, the better it is. Again, I'm sure there are exceptions to that rule, but if somebody has only ever done outbound, there's still a limitation to just receiving a call or having to deal or speak to somebody who reaches out to them,
Yeah.
and vice versa. If all you've ever done is inbound, and then you're given, okay, call this person, you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I feel that, look, the more you've done in the past, again, like with most verticals or types of career choices, it just adds to the arsenal. So for me, it's been a huge thing, because I am not, when I first started, I didn't want to get on the phone. I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. What if this guy hates me, or what if this lady shouts at me, or what if? No, I don't care about anything. Like, there's no absolute thing anybody could ever say to me that would put me off. And it's years of experience. So then what happens is, when you flip the table and say, okay, now these people actually are reaching out to you, I just feel I have, the additional confidence.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary. I mean, I think things have definitely changed since I started, and not to say that I'm some dinosaur, but I find that a lot of people aren't as comfortable getting on the phone and speaking to somebody.
Okay.
Social media, I mean, email campaigns, LinkedIn as well, has kind of, taken us away from the immediate kind of, a Wild West hardcore.
There's more layers now, aren't there? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And, and you're the type of guy as well. If somebody called you with a compelling pitch, you'd listen.
Yeah.
If somebody said the right things to you, you'd be like, wow, you know what? Here's my money.
Yeah. Yeah. I would.
And I think we've lost that a little bit.
Yeah. 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 I understand. Do you I mean, thinking about, this whole kind of journey that you've been on, what's kept you in the game? I mean, sales is hard, dude. Why don't you do something different?
You know what? I'm completely with you. And there are days or weeks or months when I'm thinking, oh, this is the worst. But then it's like, I really enjoy the conversation with somebody who's a good fit, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So if I know that you're a good fit for something, then there's a challenge, because we're not the only SEO provider, we're not the only lead gen provider. Even if somebody comes to you, it's not as if people book left, right, and center. They need to vet you. They need to see that the price is right. They need to understand everything. There's a million things that can go wrong. Yeah. But I really enjoy the conversation, and I really enjoy the negotiation of, I'm going to prove to you that I'm worthy of this project.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you choose to go with me, that's a different story. It's completely up to you. But I enjoy that process.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel that I'm also drawn to a communication-based type of job or career opportunity in general. So for me, it's like having this kind of interaction, be it over the phone, Zoom, Skype, WhatsApp, text, email, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
What I don't enjoy is being in a position where I would have to, which is, again, I can afford to not have to do that anymore. Being in a position where I'd have to speak to somebody who really doesn't want to speak to me.
Okay. Yeah.
Because there have been times in the past where it's just part of the job description. It's like it doesn't matter if they don't want to speak. You really have to, and that also builds character. Strengthens your skin and everything. But what's kept me in the game has been the ability to focus on things like what we do right now, which is I have business conversations with people who could legitimately benefit from what we do.
Yeah,
that's it. And that is then how do I present Per Lemon the way it has to be presented. What facet or what aspect of what we do is going to add value to prospect A?
Yeah,
because we do a number of different things. It's not to say that we sell A and here it is. If you don't like it, bye bye. It's like, well, what of what we do can add the most value to you, and let's just focus on that and build kind of customize a package around that. And to me, the process of identifying those things while on the phone to somebody, I enjoy it. It's just like I don't know if it's natural to me or.
I mean, have there been challenges with that process? Selling events probably in terms of what the end product is I imagine clearer to describe versus selling SEO services. What have been the kind of challenges for yourself in moving into this space where it's a digital service where it's not obvious to a potential end prospect what the work is that we're actually doing? With lead generation, I appreciate there's a bit more of a transparency as to, okay, I understand what's going on here. You're going to book appointments into my calendar. What have been the challenges for you with selling something like search engine optimization?
That's a great question. Well, look, I mean, based on, I don't think that the event kind of, let's call it sale job, was the most tangible based kind of results job I had, because I also sold translations for a short while, and that's very, very clear. This is, you get A translated into B, localized or whatever it is. This is the cost. This is when you're going to get it. With events, it's still a form of lead generation, if you will, because you still go to the event, sure, but then the outcome is, I mean, you never know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And with SEO, it's very, very similar. I mean, it's a case of much like, I mean, we pretty much guarantee a positive trend, but you don't know exactly what's going to happen in month 3, month 4, how the market's going to react, what a company's competition looks like, how responsive they are. So there's a million different things. The good thing with SEO is that we don't get that many people coming to us who are completely green to it.
Yeah.
So even though, sure, of course, it's way more vague, and one of the first things I ever say to anybody on the phone is, it's not an exact science. I couldn't tell you exactly what's going to happen. This is a blueprint of what we would like to follow in terms of an SEO calendar, if you will.
Yeah.
And these are the steps we're going to take, but there's bound to be some deviation. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. And then Google throws an algorithmic update your way, and then we have to deal with that. So it's not to say that most people know. And then I feel that because of what you've achieved and what we've done so far as a group, the kind of the online footprint that we have allows us to say, listen, just trust us. Yeah. We're going to handle this. You're going to go with an SEO agency no matter what, because you can't do it on your own, which may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing. And this is why we're a good candidate for that, or why we would be a good partner. And then once you present it that way, because I think, look, you can always say, oh, yeah, we guarantee this. This is what's going to happen in 3 months. And people would buy it. Not everybody. But then they turn around and say, hey, guys, you're the worst.
Yeah, yeah.
And I never want to put myself or ourselves in a position where, oh, you guaranteed me this. Well, I couldn't have.
How does the...
and as long as that's clear.
No. I was just curious, like, how does your sales process change when there is no brand behind it? So in the instance that you're working with a business who's very good at what they do, but they don't perhaps have a brand or founder footprint, as Pearl Lemon does, where you can legitimately say, look up Deepak Shukla, look up Pearl Lemon, just check us out online, do your own due diligence. How does your sales process change when you know that there's an excellent product, but the product doesn't really have much of a footprint apart from, a website with, an about us and what the product is?
Like, I think most things come from, people by people. So at the end of the day is, you can have the best footprint in the world, and I can get on the phone and I can be the worst person that person has ever spoken to.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. And then vice versa. I've worked at a company where their online profile was quite negative.
Okay.
But the actual product was good. It wasn't that they weren't known. They were known, but because of the I suppose the onslaught of outreach that they had engaged in, people had a very negative, kind of picture of the organization. However, the product itself was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the service was amazing, but then the people needed to kind of no, not needed to, but were often put in a position where this is the worst. I hate it, no matter
Okay.
what.
Yeah.
But then it's your job to say, listen, you're going to be working with me. Forget about the company. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
do you trust me? Do you like me? Fine. I'm working for this company. Why do you think that is? All the money, all the this, all the that. Fantastic. I'm still choosing to do so. Do you think I'm gonna leave you high and dry? And then as long as you build that relationship with a client, and then you don't go anywhere, and they can see that, you know what? It's super common, isn't it? You book a flight, you fly with somebody, and say, oh,
Yeah.
this is the worst airline in the world. But you know what? People on the flight were great.
Yeah.
Maybe I should rethink.
Yeah.
Maybe I should reconsider. Maybe I'll book again.
Yeah.
Or amazing company, and then and a flight attendant is the worst person you've ever met in your life. And what's the point? So I think, look, and it always varies, because people are you can't really say, okay, this is what everybody's going to like. Everybody's going to like a very public founder's profile, or everybody's going to like somebody who keeps to themselves. You never know. I think you just be yourself, be true to what you're doing, be genuinely behind your product and service.
Yeah.
And as long as then you convey that message appropriately, then if the company's unknown, eventually get known to a degree. Don't forget, even in what we do, you have an amazing online presence, but there are a trillion SEO companies.
Of course.
And people come to us with, I need leads, and there are a trillion companies like them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
People say, why do you want to work for us? Say, I don't want to work for you. I need a job, and what I do, I think, can complement what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why specifically us? I don't know. You're the same as everybody else. That's the bottom line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you make the difference. Your manager makes the difference. The founder makes the difference. So at a first glance, I don't think it really matters.
Okay.
It's as soon as you start building a relationship and having those conversations where the person can say, I don't care about your profile. I like this guy, or I like this girl. Yeah. This is going to be good for me.
Yeah. No, brilliant. I mean, that's fantastic. I think that what you've outlined there, dude, is amazing. And there's so many layers that come into the sales process, as you said, from having a brand and personal brand footprint to dealing with the absence of that, or an inverse situation where it's quite negative, to focusing upon, well, do you trust the product, do you trust the man, or the salesperson in this instance? And it sounds like it's been a good old journey. Wow. I'm impressed, Ian. Super impressed with kind of what you've taken us through there.
Don't be. I'm just great at convincing people I'm good at stuff. I'm useless at everything.
Well, hey, that's part of it. Goes with the territory, I guess. Ian, thank you so much for today. I'm gonna catch you guys, if you're watching again. We'll be back with Ian a couple of more times yet. I'm going to keep digging into Ian's history, background, and along the way, I'd definitely recommend that you just pay attention to the way that Ian communicates, to the words and the order and the sequences. I mean, it's what I'm getting is really a live sales training experience as well, because Ian's been doing this for over a decade, and it's really baked into the way that you communicate. It's you being yourself, but everything that you've learned along the way, and the sum of it is really effectively communicated through the way that you just speak about your experiences and how you'll deal with different challenges. So Ian, thank you, and for the audience,
thank you, sir.
Catch you next time.
See you guys.